Welcome today, folks, and welcome to Pete and Paul Ponder. Today, Peter is going to be chatting about paying yourself first. I think an important principle, and without further ado, over to you, Peter.
Thank you very much, Paul, and good morning, everyone. If you've got a job, Paul, your employer has to provide you with work and pay you for that. It's a little bit different, and they have to find that work for you. And if they don't, they have to pay you anyway. So it's a pretty good situation as an employee. When you go into business, however, you've got to earn some money to be able to pay yourself. And that's not easy at first, but hopefully it gets better and you've made the right choice in the business you go into. But what is forgotten by many businesses is the risk they take in going into that business. So you don't have to take risks to get a job, but you do have to take risks to go into your own business. And that risk can involve even an investment of quite a bit of capital in some cases, or of course of your time and your effort to try and generate an income. So I'm getting to today really with this topic of pay yourself first. Many businesses don't take a reward for risk. So a reward for risk is something you pay yourself for that risk you've taken. But unfortunately, this doesn't happen. And I've found in the previous business that you pay all the bills, you sit down, write out all the checks, that ages me, doesn't it? And you pay all the bills and there's nothing left for you. And so I've found that by working out, and you can do your own calculation, you might have a percentage, you might want to repay the capital you've invested, you might want to pay a percentage of your efforts, but that needs to get paid first to you. So the very first payment you make, and just quickly, the very second payment you should make is your own wages. But I find that if you do that, it's strange. It's just sort of like a mystery of numerical wonderment that all the other bills still get paid. I don't know how it's one of these mysteries of business, but besides that, we should be rewarding. Why else would you go into business when you could go and get a job? And there's plenty out there at the moment when we could be rewarding ourselves for a risk taken when we go into the business. So I don't know what you think on that, Paul, but I think it's something businesses should consider.
I think a couple of comments, Peter. One is I think it's extremely good psychology to be paying yourself sooner than later, because it actually is it's reward for effort. So I think there's that point, and a follow-up point would be that and I use the words sooner or later, I think it's important. I've seen too many businesses that have actually where the owner has not paid themselves for years, preferring to put the money back into the business, but or that's their rationale. My belief, same as yours, is that sooner or later the business must actually start paying the owner, or the owner of the business must actually start pulling a reward out of the business. Otherwise, I wonder whether or not it indeed is a business, Peter.
Yes, yeah, and I think that paying yourself first, that reward for risk, is actually part of something else that businesses should do, and that's a wealth creation plan. So they sit down, they might be, and I'll talk about this in another point, but basically putting that money aside. The third payment that we should make, in fact, is very selfish again, and that's a healthy contribution to super. So there's or other investment through this paying yourself first. And because I'm actually getting a bit older, Paul, and so I figure that and advise people to put as much money as they can aside for their retirement, so that last 20 or 30 years, which it has now become, is affordable, to be quite honest. So that's a good other reason for rewarding yourself as we go along.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point there, Peter, about having a wealth creation plan as part and parcel of being in business. It's a
Yes.
funny thing. Money's got this magical property, I think, Peter. Yeah. It's and it's that
Wonderment.
it sort of works on that point that you made a little earlier. If there is some surplus cash in the business, I've seen too many business owners that go out and actually, rather than pay themselves, they actually decide that they'll go out and buy a new piece of machinery that they might use in 3 years' time.
Yeah, yeah.
And and
Always
actually,
need.
yeah,
Yeah,
and find money actually disappearing. But I think the main driver in this is the great psychology of actually paying yourself. It may not be a full wage at first, but to actually pay yourself so that you actually have got a tangible reward for the effort that you're putting into the business. And it's great psychology. Highly recommend it.
yeah. I call that you raised a good point. There is quite a big difference, obviously, between wealth creation and the point of buying what I call depreciable toys, items that you don't really need or that are more than you need, and they might include, dare I say it, some flash motor vehicle. But it's you enjoy those riches while you have them, but at the end of the day, they depreciate and are valueless. Whereas a wealth creation plan is actually building something up which makes doing the business more worthwhile.
Yeah. Peter, thank you very much. A very thoughtful ponder today. Great food for thought. And folks, if you've got benefits from this, then strongly encourage you to subscribe to our channel. So, I'd like to thank you for listening. And Peter, thank you very much for the wonderful presentation. Thank you.